What's up,
Guess
Sister City Committee? Thanks for tuning in. We're trying something different today. We got the cameras on, and that's not the only different thing that we're trying. We're doing some completely different stuff today. You're in for a ride because I am.
ye I got a wild hair up my ass and was like, "Oh, I wanna do this like I saw it and someone else do it, because 'cause I'm not original at all." So we're gonna talk about the movie before before we watch it.
Cool, cool. That's gonna be good. And then like you're gonna get a few live reactions as well, I think, right?
I hope so, if all
Nice.
goes according to plan.
Cool. So a little bit of a review before we watch the movie. We haven't watched the movie yet. You, the viewer, might have watched the movie already, but we haven't. I haven't. Danielle has. I
Yeah,
haven't seen this movie. This is my first time. I'm going in raw. I'm going in raw. This is like brand new film for me. I've seen, I think like how long was the trailer for this film that you sent me? Do you know? Just off the top of your head, without having to.
I probably like 2 minutes, I don't know.
Yeah, I've seen like a 2 minute trailer for this film. I've not
Yeah.
seen anything other than that. I've not seen reviews myself. Um, all I've seen is like a 2 minute trailer on this film. I am excited to see it. This month's theme is Body Snatchers. This is our first film for the theme. Do you think it's a good choice for the first movie of the theme?
We stole it from a different we
I mean, we
stole it
stole
from
it from a different theme, right? Like it's been moved over,
Yeah,
but like
I think so.
yeah, cool,
I
cool, cool,
think so.
cool. So we got some little bits of information, right? We've got Get Out. It was released in 2017,
Yeah?
right?
Oh,
And
okay.
it was directed by Jordan Peele, from the Key and Peele thing, Just that's how
That's
I
me.
know Jordan Peele. Like, I'm sure he's bigger than that. He is bigger than that because he made his own movie and he won
Well,
Academy Award for Best Original Screenplay, right?
he did those, commercials, with his wife. I think he's most famous for marrying Chelsea Peretti.
No way. He's most
I'm just fucking
famous to me for being fucking
I know,
hilarious in the Jordan
but
in the Key and
I
Peele
like
thing.
his wife. You don't like Chelsea Peretti?
I don't know who that is. And I ain't gonna Google it. We're doing
Oh.
we're
She's
doing
really
Jordan.
funny, just
Oh,
like him.
oh,
They're
okay.
cute. They're a cute couple. Okay, sorry. Um, as a little tidbit that was on here about Jordan Peele, the Oscars. This is probably the last Oscars that I watched. Were the ones where he won for Best Original Screenplay. He was nominated for Best Director, and I think it was nominated for Best Picture. It had some other nominations, but he won and gave a great speech that I teared up. It was great.
Cool. I need to
Um,
check that out.
yeah, it was nice. It was really inspiring, actually, as someone who wants to do film at some point in their life. It was really inspiring. This movie is really well liked. I mean, obviously, right? It was nominated for Oscars. I don't know what Rotten Tomato scores mean to you. What do they mean to you, Matt? Anything?
Scores mean nothing to me.
Oh.
The only
Oh.
time I ever care about a score is if it's high, right? If I see a score and it's low, like if I go or if someone tells me, oh, so and so movie got rated really low, I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Whereas if someone turns around and they're like, oh, so and so movie got rated really high, I'm like, cool. It means that people liked it, right? It means that everybody loved the film.
I
Um,
think
whereas like
that's
if a movie gets rated really low, I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna give it my own. I'm gonna watch it and tell you what I think of it. I don't care what like a fucking moldy tomato said about a film.
Oh, because did you get that from somewhere?
No, I didn't. No, why? Is it from somewhere?
No, it's just like
Oh right.
you're you're witty today. Um, yeah, so the critic score is almost 100% on this movie.
Cool. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I did see that in your notes. It got
Mhm.
rated really highly, right? So
Yeah.
I've got that to be excited for, because if a film gets rated really highly, it does usually mean that it's going to be like insanely good because so many people liked it, right? It's good for
Maybe.
it did its part in the movie world.
Maybe I should get a list for when we meet back up on Wednesday of all the movies that are rated like near 100% that are just fucking dog shit, right? I think we should we should look that up just to prove the whole thing wrong. No.
Yeah.
You're like,
No, I mean
maybe.
that's a lot to go over, right? But the
No,
the
I
thing
know.
is, you're like what you're saying is true. Like that there can be films that get rated super fucking high and they're actually just terrible movies, and there can be movies that get rated super fucking low, and you might sit down and go, "Wow, this was fucking great."
Yeah. No, I mean, there's a lot of movie. I think the next movie that we're gonna watch next week is like 55% on Rotten Tomatoes, and I was like, what? I love that movie.
All right,
Get out.
back to Get Out. So here's what I know about the film, because like I say, I've seen this 2 minute trailer. So I'm just going to go over what I know about the film from just seeing the 2 minute trailer. And again, well, not again, but to add to this, right? This 2 minute trailer that I've seen, I see this trailer about a month ago now. So that trailer's like not fresh in my memory. I see that trailer like a month ago. Here's what I remember from the trailer, okay? There's this African American boy who goes to visit his white girlfriend and her family, right? And he goes and visits them. They come off quite nice. Everything seems normal. I think he gets like he likes them. They like him. That's the vibe that you get from I think from watching the trailer. And then shit starts getting really weird real quickly because I think he has a phone call with his dad, and I think the dad asks like, "Are there any other people? Are there any other like black people there?" Right? And he's like, "No." I think he's just like, "No" to begin with in the phone call. Um, and then and then his dad's like, "Oh, that's a bit weird" or something, right? And then going forward a bit more, he then meets another black person, but this guy, the guy just he acts really white. Like he doesn't. He's just acting like a posh white person. So then the boy gets really sus, and he's like, I think he tries really hard to talk to this person, not in a very white way, just to have a normal conversation with him or something. He starts getting freaked out by it, and then it turns out that this white family just like brainwashes or hypnotizes like any black people that come there to act differently and basically be their slaves. I think so. That's what I know about the film. That's literally that's my knowledge of this film. That's exactly what I think the plot is going to be for the film as well. Like I think that it's just going to be this African American boy goes to see his white girlfriend's family, starts shitting the bed because he thinks that they're going to hypnotize him, and just tries to get out, which is the name of the movie. He's trying to get the fuck out of there. That's basically what I think the plot of the film is going to be. That's what I know about the film. That's would you say I'm close?
I'd say, yeah, yeah. I mean, you'll see. We'll
All
watch.
right, cool.
I mean, it's not 100%, but I'd say if I didn't know anything and I watched the trailer, I'd be like, yes, that's what's happening in this. It's a little more, it's a little deeper than that, which is the mystery of it all, right?
Yeah,
So
I mean, like
we'll get into it. Yeah.
going into this, the theme for the month is body snatchers, right? So I'm going over what I just said, and I'm also trying to just keep in mind that the theme for this month is body snatchers. I think I'm missing something. I've got to be missing something, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
so I feel like there's going to be more to it than what I have just said, because otherwise it wouldn't be in the body snatchers category. Um,
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a lot crazier than what I just said. I'm really excited for it.
Yay. Okay, so we will start the movie. Let me.
You know how they like to do motherfuckers out here, man. I'm gone. Come on, bro. Yo, yo, hey.
Give the farmer is fun, fun, fun. He'll get by without his rabbit pie.
My black boyfriend will be coming up this weekend, and I just don't want you to be shocked that he's a blackman.
I mean, she's saying it like a joke, but like,
Yeah,
Blackman.
so
What?
You're jealous. I mean, you're jealous. It's Rod.
I see that in the trailer, and I should have remembered, but I didn't, and it made me jump. What a cunt.
I'm kidding. You call me Dean and you're hungry, my man. How are you? I'm good. How are you?
My man.
My mom, Mrs. Chris.
That's from Rick and Morty. My man.
So, I'm upstairs, hooking up with the hottest
Why is he
girl in class.
doing some sort of Jack Sparrow impersonation for this story?
Coming off as like the world's biggest douchebag right now, right?
Is that what I guess that's kind of what it seems.
Connor starts banging on the bathroom door, right?
Is this supposed to be his character? This
He's
guy's
just a
annoying.
creepy white man to me.
And he's screaming, "You fit that my fucking
Creepy,
mom."
unpredictable white man.
Okay. To be fair, it was my first kiss.
Oh god, this is going to be a jump scare. Okay, maybe not.
It's just a mosquito.
No, there's going to be a jump scare. The door that's been
Right.
shut off because there's black mold.
Yeah.
I'm worried about
You
whatever's
did
down
you
there.
read through the whole thing? God damn you.
No, why? Oh, God.
Because I
Jesus Christ.
really her walking across the hallway.
No,
got
the
you?
fucking sound. I wasn't paying
Oh.
attention. Yeah. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, my Lord, there's someone running. Oh, fucking hell. Is that real? Oh, God, it's real. Oh. I think...
You like couldn't take another thing, and then it happened anyway, and you're just like, oh.
I think that's the only thing that I envy about people that do drugs. She totally sucked his dick while he was out cold. And I don't blame her.
That's sexual assault. Oh. I'm trying to figure out. That's fine. It'll be fine. I'm just gonna leave it. Leave that comment as is. Hallelujah? Hallelujah? How do you say his name? Fuck. Oh.
That did make me jump, but it was just like, whoa.
How did you do it before? I almost expected you to do it again when the mom was like, you know smoking's bad.
Alright.
What's up, man?
Walks over and he's like, why did you just sprint at me last night?
You were in Mrs. Armitage's office for quite some time.
Oh man. No, I just thought, oh, because she was sucking his dick. Is that what you're talking about?
I guess I had too much of that wine last night. Can't
God
really
damn it.
I do know Tiger.
Oh, that's great.
Well, that's a black golf player.
Tiger.
Oh, best I've ever seen.
Oh my
ever.
God.
Hands down. So, Chris, let's see your form.
Oh fuck. Jesus Christ. That's a jump scare.
How?
People just turning at you.
That's not a jump
joke.
scare.
It's a joke. Like if I'm looking over at a crowd and suddenly they just turn around and start pointing at me. Fuck. I would shit myself. No. Like she's not like that. She doesn't agree with that.
This bitch is crazy.
Oh shit, fuck, pause it please. Fucking cunt, bottle. Just put the bottle down and it went everywhere.
Uh-oh.
I have proof if you need proof, I'm not lying.
No, I don't care. It's fine. I gotta pee actually anyway, so that's okay.
Well,
if you
it's like
clean.
my bottle just peed all over the table.
Okay, well I'm gonna go take a piss. Yeah.
Just piss on your table like my bottle did.
No, I've had enough drinks spilled over here. Okay. Okay, I'll be right back. Sorry.
It's not good enough. Apology not accepted. Is it too late now to say sorry? Cause I'm missing love. I just wiped that. Your body. Do you want me to do a little bit where I deep throat the bottle again? Just like last time? No, I ain't doing it this time. I'm not giving you the satisfaction.
Are you worried about another jump scare?
I'm worried about the next 30 minutes, honestly. My heart's racing.
Oh no.
The next 30 minutes is about to be an emotional roller coaster, I swear to God.
Trapped in cocoons.
Rose.
I don't know where they are.
Rose? Rose! Rose, give me those keys! Rose, give me those keys. Rose, now! Now, the keys!
Be careful, girl.
What the fuck?
I didn't do anything.
What the fuck is going on?
You hear that, Chris? Huh? One of my favorites.
She goes, right, well, time to rub one out. Very posh, just in those words.
Grandma. You ruined my
He shot the white bitch, she shot the white bitch, he shot the white bitch. Oh, thank fuck.
Shit. Consider this situation. Fucking handle.
Oh, he was going to lean in and kiss him. It would have been a really sweet ending.
Title.
Wait, so that was the name of the film? We didn't see the we didn't see the name of the film for the whole film. Right, I'm gonna go pee, and then we'll do
Jesus
the
Christ.
the outro. What's wrong? What's wrong? You remember that time when I like deep throated the whole bowl? I just had a thought of like, you know how some people drink a bottle of, like a little bottle of water by it. They take the lid off and they put it in their mouth and they just go, and it just like goes into their mouth and whatever. I was thinking of doing that, but I really just can't be bothered to make a mess right now, so I'm not going to give you that satisfaction. I'm sorry. I was thinking about the content, but then I was also thinking about the fucking mess.
I don't need to show that I apparently have female pattern baldness or some shit.
I'm pretty sure the YouTube channel would get a lot more views if you had your tits out, but whatever.
What do you want me to do? Like that? I can't. Hey guys, this is natural. You can see my bra.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't think any of the women that stream on Twitch look natural when they're sitting there like how they sit there. They don't look like they're just chilling or anything.
Let me grab them and then we can like officially count in. I know that you probably already.
Yeah, it's been running for
I know.
40 minutes, but it's fine.
40 whole minutes. Oh wait, even when I was like.
Yeah, it's been doing it for ages.
Shit. Damn it. Okay. I was gonna try to do something even worse, but I couldn't think of something. Oh no.
Just fucking spreads ass cheeks on camera, like.
Yeah.
Fucking gross.
100% what I would do. Just like that chick did. Right?
Which chick?
It was an accident, wasn't it?
I don't know.
When she was streaming on Twitch, because she had like she did camming or some shit.
All right.
And so then she just like turned around and just she just showed her butthole.
Welcome back, guys. This is the podcast. We're back again. So today's Wednesday, which is the day that we do the podcast, right? We did the little intro bit that you've already seen on the Monday, with the reactions, etc. And today we will be actually reviewing the movie together. So this will be cool. So there was a, I think, yeah. So we'll do that in a little bit, right? Well, let's just talk first, right? About your thoughts on the movie. Just general thoughts. We're not doing the review just yet. Just some general thoughts. What do you think of the movie as your second or third time? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how many times I've watched it. I know I've showed it to other people, and I mean, I saw it in the theater, I think twice. I went to go see it with one group of friends, and then I had to drag another group to go see it.
What's it like
and
having a group of friends?
I don't remember. It's been so long. That was the last time I had a group of friends, was in 2017.
I think that might be the same for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, because I thought you was like ahead of the game on me. I thought you had a group of friends now. I was just wondering what
Fuck
that's
no.
like. No.
Hell no.
I haven't had that in a
Gosh.
while, like. But I just wondered,
No, nope, definitely not. I always ruin. Anyway, so um, I liked it a lot, and I don't think that feeling has changed. I've watched it consistently. I think I watched it around Halloween. I see it as a horror movie. You jumped.
I
see it
did
as a
jump.
horror
There
movie.
was like three jumps, I think. Right? I
Yeah,
jumped.
and I jumped too, but for different reasons. But I don't know. I view it as a horror movie. In my I've talked about my top tens, right? So I have like my all-time top 10, and I have like genre-specific top tens, and I have two different lists for horror. So I have one that's like trash
All
and like
right.
not serious horror, and then I have one that's like serious horror, and so I Get Out's in that, because I mean, in the serious side of things, like I'd say in the other side of things, it's like shitty slasher movies like Sleepaway Camp, but then I have like Get Out and Nightmare on Elm Street and People Under the Stairs and stuff like that on the other one. Um, it's probably the most recent horror movie that I would put on that list too. I like it a lot. So yeah, I've always liked it. I still like it. Even viewing it now, my opinion has not changed. I guess I know it well enough. I think it's a great movie. But what are your thoughts? It's your first time.
My thoughts on the movie were it was so I said this to you on Discord, like I was telling you because we was having a chat and then I suddenly stopped responding to you and then the next day I told you why I wasn't responding. Is because like Margaret was in my room watching me on my PC and I was editing some or just like flicking through some bits on our podcast stuff and she was like asking me a bunch of questions and one of her questions was like what's the movie about? So I basically pulled up the video and I showed her the bit where I say what I thought the movie was going to be about. And basically, I still stand by that. Other than the fact I got a few bits wrong. It wasn't his dad that called him. I got the timeline of things wrong as well. But most of what I said was still true. But there are also extra bits to what I said. My thoughts on the movie were it was what I expected it to be going in. And I enjoyed it. I got into it. I felt my heart racing at certain parts. I jumped at certain parts. The movie was good. The movie did what I guess the movie intended to do, and also the movie was a lot about race as well, right? And I felt I noticed that, and everything that this movie was meant to do, I think it did for me. So it was all there, you know.
Yeah, no, that's good, and I want
And
to get more into some of that. But
talking about the
sorry.
genre, because you mentioned the genre already, you said that you think of it as a horror film. I do also think of it maybe not so much as a horror because I don't like. I think of horror as different to what this was. This had a few jump scares, but I don't think of it as a horrifying movie or anything like, you know. But I do. It did have jump scares in it. I think that this movie is a lot about race. It and it was and we've watched the alternate ending to the movie, and you've also told me that there was a scene that was deleted. And from everything that you've told me, so from watching the alternate ending and reading what you sent me as the trivia about the movie, it's apparent, it's obvious that Jordan Peele made this movie to talk about race a lot, or not talk about it, but for it to be a slap in the face for Americans at that point. And I think that as a race movie, that's what it was also. But it was also a jumpy film, and it was also. I was about to say comedy, but it's not comedy. The only reason I was going to say comedy is because fucking Jordan Peele made it. But this film wasn't really a comedy thing, other than his friend
Yeah.
who had the few funny parts. Yeah, there was some comedy like stuff thrown in, like
Yeah.
there was the bit at the end where his friend says, "I told you so," and everybody in the cinema laughs, right? There was the bit where he goes to the cops and he tries to tell them, and they just laugh in his face, and that's, the comedy aspect again. The theme that we have for this month is Body Snatchers. Now, I was questioning it before going in. On Monday, I was questioning it, right? Because I was like, I've seen the trailer, I explained what I was expecting of the movie, and I was like, I'm not too sure how Body Snatchers is going to fit into this. And then you find out, and it's not until like quite late in the movie that you find out how the whole Body Snatchers is in this, right?
Yeah.
And it does fit into Body Snatchers for that reasoning with what happens at the end.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know if you want to just talk about the theme a little bit before we carry on.
Well, yeah, 'cause I mean, it's like a sort of a sensitive thing, I guess, for some people, because kind of going back to the genre thing. Um, I think that he had signed a 3-picture deal. Was it with Universal? I should have done more research on that, but to make like a slate of social thrillers, and so that's why I had brought that up. I don't know if I talked to you about it much, but every time I see like on like there's a website I go to for horror news, bloodydisgusting.com. Every time they bring him up there, or anytime on like the horror sub on Reddit, anytime he's brought up there, there's always like a slew of comments of people talking about how like they just eye roll at him and how much they hate that he has to inject all this, he's pushing this agenda on everyone. If like he did get out and then he went on, and you'll see this, and I want to kind of revisit that once we watch Us, but if he did get out and then Us was just another Get Out and it was just solely about race, maybe I could get where they're coming from, like he maybe would be like a one-trick pony or something, but I don't know, it's almost insulting to think about, because I have to wonder, and I don't want to make it a race thing, but this is the race thing, right? We're going to be discussing it today. I have to wonder what their background is, I guess. And when you talk about like you don't find it like maybe as like a horror movie because there's jump scares, I think that this movie, just like there's other movies I don't really want to bring up right now, but in a similar vein, that I think they're different depending on your background. Like it's a different experience for you,
Right.
Well, like one is Black Panther. I think I've talked to you about that a while ago. Black
We
Panther.
briefly went over Black Panther. What is it? Yeah. But what is it that you was going to say?
Well, because I don't remember. I kind of reevaluated it because just as a movie, it's fine. It's a fine movie on its own. But as someone who's indigenous, that movie really meant a lot to me. I always liked Black Panther in the comics, and I always liked the idea of Wakanda in the comics.
Yeah.
But I feel like that, like there were a lot of parts in that movie where I teared up and like I felt like a lot of sadness. And when I was trying to discuss it with my husband, he's like, "Well, I think it's just different because I didn't feel that when I watched it." Because it's just I guess it's a different thing. It's like if you have a culture that might be dying or whatever, if you have that experience, it's gonna make consuming certain bits of media like this way different. I mean, you could read as much as you want or try to be as woke as you want or whatever. It's if you haven't grown up in a certain culture,
Yeah.
then you're gonna have a hard time relating to it, one to one.
Watching this movie, you get a different feel from if a white person watches this movie and if a indigenous person watches this movie, or
Or just colored person.
or just a colored person,
minority,
right?
really.
A minority, yeah, okay.
I think so.
A white person watching this would get a different effect from the movie than a black person watching
Potentially.
this movie.
It's that's why I want to be careful about it, and that's why I want to kind of move into like the thing about we're going to be talking a lot about race,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a lot of just, I mean, as someone who's a minority, I don't really vibe with all the fucking terms that I see, and I've tried to go down the rabbit holes of reading about all the different waves of whatever. I know my experience. I know that not everyone has my experience. I don't have other people's experience. I don't want to have to talk about it on a level that's like, I have to go and be a scholar before I'm allowed to talk about it. I hate stuff like that. I want to be able to have a casual discussion about it, and so that's what this is going to be today.
Yeah.
It's going to be a casual discussion
And
because
that is what you wanted to say. That's what you wanted to
yeah,
state the most, right? It was that this is just a casual conversation. Neither of us are experts in race.
right.
You know, I don't think there really is there really like an expert in
No,
race.
well,
Like,
that's the thing. That's the thing is that like I think that even with this movie, even if you are like you could be a white person, if you have friends, if you have someone you love or care about, you can still experience this movie and feel horror about it. You know, if it's someone who you know might be, you know, marginalized or whatever. It's not I think that's what I hate so much about those discussions about the whether it's, you know, a valid movie and
yeah,
whether this discussion is valid for everyone to partake in. I don't like the fact that with this movie and with some of the similar things that there's like this exclusivity with it. And so that's why I'm excited to talk about this with you today. I
yeah.
hope we don't put our, you know, feet in our mouths or whatever the term is, I guess, you know, by saying some stupid shit. But we may say some stupid shit. I don't know. But I just want to preface it with it's coming from a good place.
Yeah. We did move this from racism originally, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if you wanted to go over that real quick. Sorry, I know you wanted to take a sip of your drink. I don't know.
No, it's okay. No. Whatever. That I think you said you wanted this to be the last like schedule lineup change, and so it is. But we had changed it, I think, like twice
Yeah.
in varying degrees. So like in December, one of the themes was like racism is fucking terrible, which going kind of in depth with this movie, I don't know if we want to like maybe retitle that so that we can have a better discussion that month. I kind of like what we've done where we've discussed movies that have other themes in them. The other movies that I picked, I think that it has a really good place in that, I guess, that roster.
We're going to run the timer for an hour. We might go under. We'll definitely try not to go over. If it like,
Oh, I started it. I thought
oh,
I
you'd
started
start
it
it.
up there in the
No
thing. Yeah.
worries. Okay, cool. The timer's running. Do you want to talk about? This is something that we've avoided in all of the others because it was like, oh, symbolism is too hard to talk about for me. Like, but we've ended up briefly going over symbolism every now and then, right? But
Yeah.
we'll talk about some symbolism in this movie. So the deer in this movie, the deer that we see at the start of the movie that gets hit by the car, it's basically his dead mum getting hit by a car. That's what the deer is.
From reading with some of the like the interviews and Jordan Peele's responses to like fan theories and things, like one thing that you had brought up, the black mold thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was an accident, apparently.
That's the basement. We had to seal it up. Some black mold down there.
That's
Oh,
smart.
right. So I've made the
Wish
same
we had
connection
thought
that someone else made, but it wasn't even
Yeah.
meant to be a connection.
Nope.
It was
Yeah,
just the fact that,
that's
like,
interesting.
the dad goes, "Oh, yeah, that room is blocked off because of some black mold." And in my head, I thought black mold meant like there's a bunch of dead black people down there. That's what I
Yeah.
thought. Like that's because it was the white man saying it. And like obviously there was a whole load of racism in the movie. So I thought I was putting one and one together there, and
I think the most connected to the narrative aspect of the deer symbolism is what you're talking about with the mom.
yeah,
But there are other things that people picked up on, and I don't know if he commented on them, but there's a buck is I had to look this up, post-Reconstruction racial slur for black men,
oh okay,
younger black men. And so there was that. Then there was the part where I'm sure you remember it whenever they first sit down and they're talking to the parents and the dad is like, I say we get rid of all of them.
I'm telling you, I do not like the deer. I'm sick of it. They're taking over. They're like rats. They're destroying the ecosystem. I see a dead deer on the side of the road. I think to myself, that's a start.
Like, just
Yeah.
kill them all. Like,
yeah.
it's just a
You know when he was doing that conversation when
Mhm.
they'd all just first met and they was like, oh yeah, we hit a deer on the way here, and then he goes off on that whole, oh, I wish they'd just get rid of all of them. Even though I knew he was talking about the deer, I did also in my head feel like he was being racist at that point, as if he was talking about,
he's being very suggestive.
yeah, he was being suggestive, right? I
Yeah.
felt that, and I'm sure that that's what it was there for, as you're saying, right?
Mhm.
Um, But yeah, that was a very suggestive part where he has that conversation.
I mean, those are the things that are, I think, just if they were planned, I think that's just the genius of the screenplay and his writing. But I think that we revisit so much the deer as like, dead on the side of the road and just his trauma with his mom.
Yeah.
So I think you had asked about it when he first was standing there and looking at it, and I don't remember exactly what you had thought at first. But then they make it really apparent that he's equating that, because then he tells the story whenever he's first hypnotized
Yeah.
about how he sat there. It was the whole night, I think he said, where he didn't do anything and she bled out. She was still alive on the side of the road. That deer that they left was still alive on the side of the road. And it's just like that guilt
Yeah.
and that, yeah.
Because until you know more about it later, that first part at the beginning, as you said, I mentioned it, and I remember mentioning it, but I don't remember exactly what I said. But I'm sure it was just along the lines of like, why did he just stand there and stare at that deer for a bit? And you was just like, oh, because he's traumatized. I guess because you wasn't trying to give me any spoilers or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Because I mentioned like, why is he just standing there staring at that deer for so long? Because that's what is literally what he does. He walked off to go look at it, and he just like looks at it for a bit, and it's just like, why is that there? And then you find out more later, it's because of all of what you just said, and the way you've explained it just there, it makes me realize more and more, that deer was still alive, and it was just there bleeding out, and I guess it was just like, could it have been saved if he tried to save it, or if anyone tried to save it, could it have been saved? Because he's just there thinking of his mum at that point.
And I think when you saying that, I think the thing is that he has that severe guilt where like you can't blame. I think what you're supposed to feel is you can't blame him when he was a child for not knowing like, oh, maybe she wasn't out doing something, maybe she was on the side of the road. Like he wasn't at fault at all in that situation. And so I don't think that, even though he knew that if someone had found her, she could be saved, she couldn't have been saved just based on the situation. And so I think that's why it brings up the deer, because I think if they hit that deer, I don't think it could have been saved. And so I think it's just that like rock in a hard place of you want to do more. And so it's the same thing with at the end with
And yeah,
George.
I was about to say, jumping
Yeah.
forward a bit. I mean, I don't know if we've got plans to talk about this a bit later, but like we'll talk about it now. Jumping forward towards the like very end of the film, he is trying to make a great escape from all of this because he snaps out of the hypnotism, tries to make a great escape, jumps into a car, puts his foot down because he just wants to get out of there, and then the black lady, who is the waiter in this film, she just runs across and gets smacked by the car.
Georgina, yeah.
Yeah. So he then gets out of the car
And he's cursing himself. He's like, no, don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah. And I
because
guess
he needs to leave. Yeah.
in the alternate ending that we saw,
Yes.
there is a bit where he's in prison and he says that he overcomes his demons. And what he means by overcoming his demons, or like what we just assume he means by overcoming his demons, is that he gets out of the car at that point and he goes and helps her, and he picks her up and puts her in the car with him because he was gonna drive off, escape with her, and get her the help that she needed because he'd just hit her with a car.
Yeah.
So there's that part at the end of the film. So that is a lot of the symbolism to do with the deer and his mum being
That's like
the deer.
the full circle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and one other thing that because I remember I was like over analyzing it whenever I was getting really excited for the movie, but like a deer in headlights, that phrase, and I kept thinking of that, and then like whenever he would use the camera flash to like wake the people up, and I don't know
That's
if there's
cool.
anything there, but I did see like people list the camera flash as symbolism.
Yeah.
But I didn't list it because it was sort of rambling like that. Like, there's a lot of different ways you could apply that in this type of thing because it's really just a mechanism almost.
Also, like when he uses the deer's head to kill the dad.
Yeah.
Like there has to be some symbolism there as well, right?
And I think it kind of goes with the thing of the racial slur of the buck, where here he is taking it and he's
right.
Yeah, to get him. But yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
That kill is. I love that kill. Sorry,
I liked all of the kills at the end. I mean,
I know.
how many was there? I liked the brothers kill. Like when he killed
Mhm.
the brother, I liked the kill on the brother. I thought the brother was dead after getting smacked in the head twice with the really hard
Right?
object, right? And he bled out on the
God.
floor and he was just laying there. But obviously he doesn't get killed because he just pops up again and he grabs him. It felt so satisfying because that brother was a dick,
Yeah.
and it gives me flashbacks as well of the elevator scene from what's that
Oh,
film?
Drive?
Drive. Yeah, it gives me
Yeah.
it gave me a little bit of a flashback to the elevator scene in Drive. Where he just stomps on his head over and over and over again, and then like you hear that crunch, and you're like, "Yeah, you fucking get him, right?"
Well, it's kind of
Because he
like
deserved it.
in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood at the end. Doesn't he do that to Tex? Doesn't Cliff finally, like after he gets him with the door? I don't remember what he does exactly, but then he stomps him. I don't know. Anyway, those are always satisfying
Yeah,
when people are awful people.
when people
Um,
deserve it, it's very satisfying
yes,
when you see it
it's
in a
very
movie, right?
satisfying.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then there was the one I don't remember how he kills the mum.
With the she had stabbed
Oh,
him
she had the
through the
knife. Yeah, he
hand,
puts his hand up.
and then he,
Yeah. When I
into
explained
apparently
that
into
bit
her
to
eye.
Margaret, she did laugh
Yeah.
a little bit because it is a little bit like unbelievable sort of thing. Like she goes to stab him, he puts his hand up, just gets stabbed in the hand. Sort of like doesn't bat an eyelid to it. She tries pushing it into his face, and he just like takes his hand and fucking 360s it, and then stabs her in the face with it, right?
Yeah. I guess he probably
Well, not 360, because the 360 is the whole way around. He like 180s his hand
yeah,
and
like
stabs her
yeah.
with it, and then that takes her out. And then there is also the bit which isn't a kill, but
Mhm.
when he shoots the girl at the end.
Oh,
Or like it's
yeah.
not him that shoots the girl. Sorry, it was the granddad.
It's yeah.
It was Pops. Is that what she calls him? What does she call him?
I think she's called him Grandpa.
Get him, Grandpa.
She calls him Grandpa. Right, it was Grandpa
I
that
think so.
shoots her at the end because Chris takes his camera out, flashes,
Yep.
so the Grandpa gets back his normal memories, steps back, and he's like, "Give me the gun, I'll shoot him," and then he shoots the girl instead. And then there was the little bit where I'm like, "He shot the white bitch," because it's really.
I love that. It's the whole end was satisfying.
And we've also got the sunken place.
Again, it's a mechanism thing. It was like the most visceral, I think, bit of symbolism and like experience that you get in the movie. That first time, I think you had mentioned something about like you wish you could experience like just something like I don't not
Because we've
necessarily that
literally just
place,
done
but
Drugs Month, right?
yeah.
Because we've literally
it
just
was
done Drugs Months, and we've watched all of the highs, and we've watched all of the highs being portrayed, and this is what you feel. And then in this one, when he gets put into the sunken place, he gets that sort of like thing where he's just falling or he's just floating. It wasn't so much the falling, it was the floating. When it gets shown to you what's basically happening in his eyes, right? He goes into this place where he's just there, he's floating, he's not doing anything. And I said like I wish I could experience that as a high one day, right?
like a sensory deprivation chamber. It would have to be a very neutral word to describe that. But the symbolism of it just outside of the movie is, some form of like subjugation, oppression, ownership of a person where they can't do anything and they're at the whims of someone else. And in this case,
Yeah.
of course, a black person at the whims of a white person.
Yeah.
Having to be along the ride for whatever a white person is going to dictate for their lives.
I see what you're saying. So the sunken place is sort of like when some people get it in relationships, right? Where you're just in a relationship and it's just like you want to get out, but you feel lost and you feel stuck.
Yeah. And I think that is sort of maybe going more into what I appreciated about it, which is more of a comment on trauma again, which again is that's what I really liked about this movie. She specifically picked that experience, his traumatic experience of remembering, because it probably, I don't know if he described it if he described being afraid when he was sitting there watching TV or anything, I think he just was watching TV. Maybe he didn't know at the time, and then he looked back on it and felt really guilty, or he did. He was watching TV and he started to realize something was off, but he just kept, I think he mentioned it. It just made it not real, so that's why he didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And so it's being paralyzed in that moment. And so it was very smooth of like him remembering being immobilized by fear and just watching TV and watching someone else's, curation of reality, and then it being very akin to that,
Yeah.
sunken place.
It's
And
exactly
so,
what happens when he goes into the sunken place. It just
Mhm.
feels like he's watching a TV.
yeah.
He falls down and all he can do is watch. He can't do anything. Or
And so, and I think that's like the most relatable, I guess, aspect of it. But it does have like the dual subtext, and I like that. I think that it's good for the movie. It's good for the message that he wanted to present. But I think it's subtle enough. It's not. I don't think stuff like that is ham-fisted. I don't think stuff like the silver spoon is ham-fisted or the deer is ham-fisted. I think all those things are very subtle, meaningful because they can be interpreted in multiple ways. That's my discussion on the symbolism. That's
Cool.
my whole, argument, I guess. We can start with the police thing because I think that scene is really interesting, especially once you've seen the whole movie. That's a really interesting scene because I think he stated, and this is what cops do. Well, this is just standard procedure whenever such and such happens,
yeah.
Can you trust that?
Yeah.
Can you trust that? So she was very adamant about not giving the ID, and she played it off like, oh, this is how could he do that to you? But
I really like, and this is to do with screenplay as well, because this was in the
Mhm.
trivia that you sent me. You really don't want, you want to trust her. This is all part of it. It's to trust her, to trust that she is on Chris's side, or not Chris's
she
side,
doesn't
but
know
not
what
even
they're
just
doing,
Chris's side,
right?
or even just she is on the side of black people at this point, right? She's
Yeah.
just like, why do they need to do all of this racist shit? It's
Mhm.
constantly what she's doing the whole way through the film, and she didn't act like unbeknown to it. She knew what it was. She knew. She makes it apparent that she knew, because she's saying to the police officer, "No, that's bullshit. Why do you need to see his passport? You don't need to see his passport. That's bullshit." And he's like, "Oh, it's just procedure." And she's like, "No, no, it's not."
Right? Okay, but then it's like once you've seen the movie, why else would she not want him to keep his ID or log his
Oh, because of the missing persons thing.
exactly.
She
And
does.
so that's
Right. Okay.
there's that dual aspect of it that I think is really clever, where
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you have this, and that's why I wanted to bring up that. I think I like you bringing up that first, but I wanted to go back to like the very concrete, like explicit theme, or yeah, I guess explicit themes, explicit messages of the movie about like white saviors and that whole trope, of people who are progressive, well, they're always on our side, right? And it's very like I say it like the black and white. It's very clear cut that, once you know her true nature, that she was just exploiting that
Mhm.
to gain favor with Chris, but then also to make sure that she keeps her family's plan secret.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is something that she's done for a long fucking time, which is disturbing. And I mean, she got into a relationship with, even the woman that ended up taking the place, or taking her grandma's mind or whatever.
Yeah.
You see all those people, and I think that's what they, and he explained it in the alternate ending. But that was what he was trying to bring up, was that like people who are discriminated against, you guys aren't discriminated against anymore because we have affirmative action, we have all this stuff, blah blah blah. But it's like that. I guess it's called positive discrimination. Again, these are all those terms that I don't fucking know. I just know I don't like it because I've experienced similar things. That party scene, when they're
Yeah, to touch on the positive discrimination, I was
yeah.
going to say, I was actually going to say, is because I don't know the term positive discrimination, right? But I was just gonna ask you a question: is the positive discrimination the part where the lady looks down at his junk and says, "Oh, I heard it's better," or there's the part where they talk a lot about athletics and like how he must be good
Yeah.
at sport or whatever.
Yeah, so it's the same thing as like,
It's still
Asian people are
discrimination.
yeah,
But
Asian
it's
people are
like,
really smart, and so
yeah,
you pick all, people like that, or you know, like what I was gonna relate it to for myself is like that party scene really reminded me of the times that like my dad, he married a white woman who comes from a rich Southern family. He married her when I was like 15. They dated for a couple years before that, but we started going to their family's parties, and it was a lot of white people, which is fine. My mom's white, I'm half white. But they treated my dad, and then once they found out who I was, like an other. And like they would ask about, do we do dances? Like, because I mean, yeah, our people do traditional dances, okay, yeah, we have powwows and things like that.
yeah,
Do you really do rain dances? Can you blah blah blah? There's a specific memory that I remember where this girl, one of the little girls in the family, she was like, 9 years old or something, was playing a tune on the piano, one of those tunes it, associated with like, you see it in like old cartoons probably, with Indians, like I don't know how it goes. But anyway, they asked my dad if he would dance to it. And so we're all there in the living room while she starts playing the piano with this thing that I've seen in, racist cartoons. And he gets in the middle of the floor, and because he doesn't want to start shit, he doesn't wear his emotions on his face because this is what our people do. He does the dance, and I just remember sitting there watching it, and everyone's like, "Wow, he was making shit up. He never fucking did dancing like that." But they treated
yeah,
us like we're these spiritual, mystical people. And
yeah, yeah,
like taking that, because they were a rich Southern family, but they were very like progressive-ish. They were very tolerant. They made it known, like the whole thing in the movie with the, oh, I would have voted for Obama if he'd run for a third term. Stuff like that
yeah.
is,
Or just every single cringe thing that the dad says, basically.
yeah, it's all of that on one side. And then you have like when I first started dating my husband and I went over to his grandmother's house, where they're not progressive people. They're racist. I have heard them use a lot of slurs at their house and I don't like it. I have blocked their entire family because they said some racist shit to my dad on Facebook. I couldn't do it anymore. I don't talk to them anymore because of that. But 10 years ago when I first met them, I went over to his grandmother's house and their whole house is Western themed. And so they have all this cowboy stuff. I remember going to the bathroom, having to be real nice. They had a shower curtain that was cowboys and Indians, and it
Mm,
was classic Western shit of like the cowboys chasing the Indians and shooting them.
yeah,
You know, it's just like then you have that, where they made no bones about it. They didn't know I was not full white. I'm white passing, you know what I mean?
yeah.
And so they weren't ignorant and shitty to me because they didn't know. And so that kind of stuff in this movie, like it really resonates because you see that really blunt aspect of it, and then you have this other aspect where it's like sweetened up. I don't know.
On
Yeah.
the conversation that we had going in, it's like a white person watching this film has a lot of different experiences to an indigenous or a person of color, like a person of
Right.
color watching this film. Sorry, um,
Mhm.
has a lot of different experiences to a person of color watching this film because for you, there's all of those scenes in that film, and you resonated with so many of them. I guess, right? As you've just said, there's a lot of
Yeah.
scenes that you get flashbacks or not flashbacks, but you get memories and you recall and you're like, damn, I've been in that situation. Whereas me, I'm just like, it's there and it's being brought to my attention, but I've not felt any of that before.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm not sitting there thinking, damn, I remember this time where someone made me do a fucking stupid dance just because I'm white, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
And so yeah, but I still think that that's powerful what he did though, because then if you don't know about that stuff, you're seeing this. And it is a thing, you know.
yeah.
It's like when I brought up the whole like, that's a fucking jump scare when a bunch of people turn around and point at you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That wasn't a jump scare for me at that part, but like for you it was, yeah. You was like,
It made me
that's a
feel
jump scare.
dread, not just
Right.
yeah, not just because I have social anxiety, but because I remember going to parties like that and I was like, I don't want to talk to them about being Indian. I don't want to do it anymore. I don't want to tell them what my Indian name is. I don't want to do that. Like, fuck, here they come. Like,
All
and so
right, yeah.
it's ugh.
And then there was literally the part where, and you was just talking about how you would go to your dad's wife's at the time family, and they would just ask him a bunch of these questions, just about about him and about being Native American. And it's like there is literally a scene in the movie where you get it's an Asian dude that does it, right? But he turns around and
Yeah.
goes, "Oh, can you tell us about the black experience?" Right? And
Yeah.
it's the
Yeah.
same shit. It's the same shit.
But see, and it's played with too, because I don't think Jordan Peele denies with like that character that Lakeith Stanfield plays Andre, and I think his name is Logan when he meets him again, and Chris kind of makes fun of him to Rod about like, oh, he dresses, like white, and he talked white, and like there was that part where like he said something to him. He said like, oh, I feel more comfortable seeing you here, and then he says it to the in front of the woman.
Chris was just telling me how he felt much more comfortable with my being here.
When they're all standing there, and that part, like I got that pang of like, oh my god, why would he do that? Because
Yeah.
it's like he was trying to feel safe. He was trying to connect with another person that he could feel safe around, and then they just like turned on him.
Yep.
And of course, in the movie, there's a reason why, because it's not him. He's an old white man on the
Yep.
inside, right? But that's that fear, I guess, that is also kind of explicit that people don't like to talk about. Like, we're gonna watch that movie, but you recently watched it, Django Unchained,
Yeah.
Samuel L. Jackson's character.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. That's a really extreme example, and a really, I don't want to say it's not offensive. I mean, but it's extreme. People don't
It
like
is
to see stuff
extreme,
like
yeah.
that.
It's basically, and a lot of the film, and what I said going into the film, they're black people, but they're acting really white, and it's
Yeah.
it's just uncomfortable. It's not the way that they would just act naturally. That's just not their normal way of being, and it just feels really awkward.
And I think you asked if there was a like a derogatory term or just a term for people like is there a term for black people who act white?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I couldn't remember. I'm sure if I thought about it, I could have looked it up because I don't fucking use terms like that. But I mean, there's terms like that for I've heard them. I think I mentioned it to you. Like I've heard them for like my people. Like
You
if
did
they
say
act
that,
that
yeah,
way,
yeah.
or for I've heard that people have used it for Asians and Hispanics and stuff like that. So there's a lot of history there, even within one's own like community, that is bore out of these traumas, these like historical traumas that have happened to people, but they're being perpetuated by their own community still, and what's going to break that cycle? And then this is just it's like a snapshot of all that shit that's happened, and like what could happen. What's something shitty and awful that could happen?
Yeah.
And I think that's what this is. And so I think that he that's why I fucking hate that discussion of
To
like,
bring up like what you
yes.
just mentioned about like, because I asked if there was a derogatory term for a black person acting white, and the reason I asked that is because there is, even within minority cultures, there is still racism, even in those minority cultures, right? Like, you will see black people being racist to black people that aren't fully black, or you will see
Oh yeah.
like black people being racist to Asian people. You'll see Asian people being racist to black people. But there is still a lot of it, and like because you've mentioned already that you're not full Native American, you're like white as well, right? And I've seen people on my Facebook who I'm friends with who have made Facebook statuses about like, oh, I had this black person message me, and they're like just being spiteful to me because I'm not fully black. I'm like, I have a white dad. Someone who is a minority picking on me because I'm not full black or something, you know. And that's why I asked if there was a derogatory term, because you just see hate within those cultures towards
Yeah.
people sort of their own culture.
And it's not I know that it's not just unique to everything that we've done in America. Of course, we've seen it in other countries, but it's knowing like our issues at hand here and just focusing on that, and recognizing it. This is our situation that we're in. I mean, I think I've mentioned this before. Like my mom went on the reservation to visit my grandmother, and she got death threats, and then the thing is that this system of like blood quantum for my people, where we literally have a fucking card that we're given to tell the US government how much of a race we are. Like people use that as it's like a fad right now with like 23andMe, like, oh, we're gonna go get my DNA. I'm gonna see how much percent I am this. I have a government card that tells me that and that I have to have in order to be considered part of my community.
Something of that. You saying that reminded me of a South Park episode where
Mm.
um he goes and gets a test done just to say that he's also partially a minority or whatever, and it's just sort of like a bragging right or some shit.
There's some tribes. I think I've told you this, but there's some tribes like in Oklahoma where I grew up. That's not my tribe. There's like a lot of tribes there, but mine's up in like the Dakotas. But there's the Cherokee, and so there's like a joke here where like, oh, white people all say that they're Cherokee, and so if you hear like someone who looks white and they say that they're Cherokee, you just roll your eyes. They're not
We've had
Cherokee.
this conversation before as well, where there's
Yeah,
people that people dress up and try to pretend that they're Native Americans, right? And they know nothing
and
about it.
that
And then they go and visit, and they go and see it, and they're like, "This isn't. You guys need to try to be more Native American or some shit like that, right?"
yeah, that's the hobbyist culture over in Germany and the Czech Republic.
Yeah, and you get these people
Um,
that just know nothing about your culture. They've never been brought up in it. They've never felt
yeah,
what you guys have felt, and they try to say, "Oh yeah, I'm part of that," just
yeah,
as a
but
bragging right sort of thing.
and that's disturbing, and I want to talk about that in the future.
Okay.
But what the point I was trying to get to though is just
Sorry.
this thing of like falling victim to and perpetuating systems that you didn't start and not being able to break out of that cycle because of just the way society is, right? I'm sure again, I know there's terms for this. I know people have thought about all this shit, but it's in this movie I think that it brings us back to that type of discussion, because like what I was saying about the blood quantum thing is that recently my tribe was going to do the constitution. They're going to make it so that it was like a less amount of Native American was required to be able to enroll in the tribe. But there were people from my tribe who were full blood, and they would state that would say, no, we need to increase it. It needs to be like right now it's a quarter, and they wanted to put it like to an eighth, and they were like, no, we need to make it half.
Yep.
Honestly, we should just keep it at full. But it's like when you do that, you're promoting some kind of racial supremacy because I married a white man, like I'm not supporting my race. What are we supposed to do? But it's a system that was set in place by the US government. Similar systems that they've set black people with Asian people, they haven't done things that they've promised, but they've kept these shitty systems up. And then because of those systems still existing, there's that infighting. I know infighting sounds so terrible, but then you have stuff like this where
But
it
that is
really
what it
boils
is. That
down
is what
to
that was what I was trying to
yeah,
bring up. It was that there is infighting. Right. That's
yeah. And
as
so what it
terrible
ends
as it
up boiling,
sounds.
what it ends up boiling down to then is, I mean, the first thing we really get out of this movie, in terms of like an explicit thing stated by someone, is Rod kind of criticizing Chris for being with a white woman and going to
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there is that.
don't go there. They distrust them.
Yeah.
Is that any better? I mean, in this
In this
story, he was right.
scenario, he was right. Yeah,
Yeah,
and he says at the end, I told you so. But it's just like it's not always going to be that shit, right?
yeah, it's
It's
not.
just that is just an inherent distrust to white people for being white. Um,
And so yeah,
and
and
in
I
this
think that
movie, it's gratified, but just there are scenarios where you won't get that, right? Obviously, you're not
yeah.
you're not always going to go to a white person's house and they're going to hypnotize you, and steal your
That's the
brain.
thing is that's an absurd idea. That's a really absurd concept. That's like this at its absolute worst. And I think that Jordan Peele knows that. And that's why he was able to play with everything he was able to play with in the script and write some of these lines. And it really, when you brought up like it being comedy, it really was kind of funny because it was so absurd. Like it's like, oh my God, like I could see this happening. It would be
Yeah.
so easy for this to happen. But it's not going to happen, but oh my God, like we're like this close,
Talking
I
about the
don't
comedy, and
yeah.
talking more about the movie, there was a scene in there which I was really displeased by. Right, I
Yeah.
mentioned it when we was watching it, and it was the scene where he goes to the cops, and it's a black cop as well. It's a black lady. He goes to the cops. He sits there. He explains the story, and then she pulls in two more cops. Again, they are black cops. So now there's three of them there. He sits there, tells them the story, and they laugh in his face.
What's the next move?
And don't ever say that I don't do nothing for you.
Now the thing is, throughout that whole scene, I've never watched this movie before, and I didn't know what was going to happen. Throughout that whole scene, I knew that they were going to laugh in his face and say, "You're chatting shit. Like we're not going to help you with this," because I feel like that type of scene is in other movies where someone goes missing, and it's like, or something happens, something mysterious happens that you can't really explain properly, but you go and you try to tell the police, and they laugh in your face. So for me, it was just like. It was a bit of a bummer scene because I knew that it was going to happen, and in my head I was sitting there thinking, wait, maybe this scene isn't going to end how I know it's going to end. Maybe this scene is going to end with them turning around and going, "You're right, let's help you with this missing person, and let's try and find these missing people." But like, it didn't end the way that I wanted it to. It ended the way that I knew it was going to happen, and it was just sort of like, I didn't feel like that scene needed to be there,
Yeah.
and it was just a disappointing scene for me.
I know. I would like to know if there was something like that they played around with in test viewings, and that like people wanted it to be there, because people are so supportive of like meta and self-awareness in movies now. Where like I feel like if they had excluded that, then someone would have been like, "Why the fuck didn't he do this? Why didn't he go to the police?" Well,
Oh
I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
understand, and that's frustrating. And maybe they could have done it in a different way. I think that what it did achieve for me was making the idea of something like that happening and going sort of unnoticed a little more believable, just in the pacing of the movie. Like, if you have that rejection, then he's so much more isolated. They think that's crazy. They're not going to listen to it. So if something else comes up soon after, they're not going to listen to it. They're going to think it's that guy fucking around again. And it's kind of horrific because you can't, again, like going back to, like there being issues within one's own community, you can't even go to someone that maybe you think you could trust because they still don't believe you because of, they're cops and they're
Yeah.
part of that aspect, which I don't want to get into that because it's a very hot topic here in America of cops and trusting police and etc. But it is what it is.
It's hot in England as well. I found out today because I was. This is not related to the movie whatsoever, but just to talk more on like the hate towards cops. It's not just hot in America. It's hot. I think probably everywhere, right? I was flicking through my phone yesterday and I got like the Google News thing that was telling me, there was a cop in Brighton or something, or not Brighton, but somewhere that was just on patrol, just like walking around, and I think like 4 kids just beat him up for no reason. 2 of them got arrested. So I was telling my friend about this, and he was like, "Oh yeah." And then there's this other thing where literally last week, a cop got called to a house. Well, they got a phone call because this woman was being abused. Her husband was choking her or whatever, beating her. Cop got called to go to this incident. Gets in his car, is driving to the incident, and literally just for no reason. It wasn't a prank call or anything. He was just on his way to it, and another car purposely rammed him, pulled him out of the car, and beat him just because he was driving in a cop car.
Yeah.
So I mean that shit is everywhere. Like, and the thing is, some of the hate, or like a lot of the hate, I don't want to say a lot, right? It's a 50-50 thing, right? In America, you've got cops that are assholes, but then also people shouldn't be going out of their way to disrupt the stuff that cops are doing. Like it's hard. It's hard to talk about. It's really hard to talk about because I don't want to sit here and say that I'm on a cop's side
No,
when
I mean it
I
is.
know
It's like
I've seen that there are racist cops and that cops have done shit that
yeah.
they shouldn't be getting away with or shit that they shouldn't do. They are in a trusted position and they're making themselves not be trusted, right?
Yeah.
But then people shouldn't be just attacking random cops in the street. And cops shouldn't be attacking random people in the street. It's a
Right.
50-50 thing, right?
You should be able to trust people that you've entrusted with your safety,
Yeah.
right? And if they feel like they're providing a service, then they should feel mutual respect, I guess. But it's
relate
hard.
this to the movie,
Yeah.
just because I want to stay on track with the movie as well
Yeah.
like, but to relate this to the movie, there's the part at the end of the movie where
Mhm.
he's strangling her on the floor. I think he ends up just deciding to stop.
Yep.
This is in the edit that you see. This is the edit that got released. He decides to stop strangling her, and then police lights pull up. And I sat there, and you see it in my reaction as well and everything. And I sat there and I went, and like I was just like, shit, the police are going to pull up and they're going to shoot him, or he's going to get arrested because he's got a white person on the floor. And like that was my instant thought. It was my instant thought was the worst thing that could happen. It's the white police showing up and either shooting him on the spot and there not being a happy ending, or him getting arrested, which happens in the cut that was cut out. Right, is where he gets arrested by the white police. And then there's also the bit at the beginning where it's the white police officer that wants to see his passport for literally not a passport but identity for literally no reason. He was just a passenger. There was no reason to see his identity there, and he wanted to see his identity. And this is that's all to do with like the stuff that we was just talking about. It's just police doing stuff for no reason to minorities.
Or like just having that innate distrust, I guess, of the minorities because of the type of job that they do or whatever. It's all again, it's like systems perpetuating bullshit. Is there anything else? Because we're almost out of time. Is there anything else?
Closing thoughts on the film, right?
Well, one thing I did want to say. What did you think about the acting?
I thought the acting was great. Yeah, no, I thought the acting was great because it was basically taking, there was the gardener, there was the waiter, and there was the guy who got kidnapped and abducted and ended up being the 60-year-old lady's toy boy or whatever, right? Those were all obviously black actors, and they had to play a white role in that film.
Yeah.
And I thought that they did great. I thought it was amazing acting. There's the scene where the gardener is greeting the people as they pull up, and that is you don't realize it at that part, but you realize it once you've seen the whole film. That is the granddad greeting all of those people.
The guy who created the procedure, I guess, right? Or like he conceptualized it. Yeah.
Because what you see it there as a first-time viewer, you just see it as a black man politely and poshly,
like almost valeting or something.
Valeting for all of these white people that are showing up. But then what you realize once you've seen the whole film is that no, that was actually just a persona. That was just the white granddad.
Yeah, he's essentially the patriarch.
Yeah.
Of it all, which is you don't. That's crazy.
And that was great. That was fantastic acting.
The girlfriend.
I was going to say, yeah. See, I was sort of going to say the same thing as you there, right? To touch on the trivia that you mentioned, right?
Yeah.
Where there was going to be a scene where she tries to talk him into staying, but they decided to cut that scene because they basically didn't want it. They didn't want to make it too obvious that the girl was in on it too. You want to trust the girl, and you want to trust that Chris trusts the girl. And you don't want it to seem like she's trying to make him stay, because then you'll start thinking, why is she trying to make him stay? It would have just been such a big giveaway.
Right.
But like her acting, but like her acting in the film and the way that they don't give it away, and she's on his side the whole way through, and she's just like, why do people just have to act so weird and shit, And there was a lot of acting weird. I had a thought a while back while we was talking. But I've forgotten what the thought was exactly. But there were a lot of these bits where it was just like the dad just trying to use these awkward. Oh, this is what it was. We was talking about like white people acting like they're Native Americans, right? In your culture or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And there was the bits where the dad would use these awkward words where I think he was saying bro or something. I forget what it was, but he was just like my man, yeah. Like he was trying to he was trying to act like he was part of the culture or something, right? And then there was another bit which is very brief, and I've not mentioned this, and I don't know if you already knew it, but there was another bit where the brother shows up for the first time and he goes, "What's up, fam?" And it's like, why is he trying to use?
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, like, I wondered if you'd already noticed that part, but it's like the brother shows up and he goes, "What's up, fam?" It's like, why is he using the word fam there? Why is he like he's just trying to?
It's just all very, I don't know. Yeah, he was so, and like in his unpredictability, he was so aggressive.
Yeah, he was so aggressive. Like they're at the dinner table and he wants to try wrestling with him.
Yeah, what the fuck? And it's not. Yeah, it's like it was building up to it, and on the horror aspect, the phone call.
Oh my god.
Was like chilling.
Right, yeah.
It was that was a great performance. I had thought about that as I watched it. I was like, I wonder. That must have been really interesting.
Because her performance changes throughout what you see throughout the whole film.
Yeah.
Where you get her trying to be nice to him throughout the whole film. And then from that moment where she's just like, I can't give you this, she becomes a different character.
Yeah.
And you see it
like
for the rest of the film.
robotic, sociopathic, like, but that phone call where like, and I thought at first they weren't gonna show you her, and then they cut to her, and she's like just,
Yeah.
oh, oh no, oh, like, but not showing like any facial emotion, like for her to do that.
I don't know. I guess maybe a local one, or I guess he could have called an Uber.
I thought that was really good, and that kind of stuff is what made it a horror movie for me, like just a classic style thing, because that's creepy. That's fucking creepy.
She has some
Because-
great right. She had some great dialogue during that phone
Yeah.
call, didn't she? Where it's
Yeah.
like he puts her on speaker to record it,
Yeah.
and then she goes off and she's like,
If you did something to him,
I know you think about fucking me, Rod.
ain't nobody thought about fucking you. Why would you say some stupid shit? What the? You ass, fuck you. I didn't want to.
"Stop trying to beat around the bush. You want to fuck me or whatever like that." You know,
Yeah.
like there's something
and then
between
it pans
us.
around, and her whole family's standing there while she's doing that. And
Yeah.
It's like, Jesus fucking
Yeah, that's
Christ.
like some fucking cringe where like you're like say you think like someone being in a sex phone call and they had their family there watching them do the sex phone call or something,
what the
right?
fuck? Yeah, no, but that's what I wanted to bring up. That was I like that whole part. That was probably one of my favorite scenes just from on the horror aspect, but we can tie it up there and do the closing. So we both liked the movie.
Definitely did fit into the theme. But the thing is, you don't realize that it fits into the theme until the end of the movie. So
Right.
our theme, Body Snatchers, right, for this month, and this is one of the films, Get Out, that we used for this theme. When he's in the room,
When
and
Jim discusses, which crap, I wanted to discuss his character, but we can talk about it right now. It's when he's explaining the procedure to him finally, because the infomercial-y thing is kind of confusing, but then when you have the blind guy who's like, oh, I don't, somehow the least racist character out of all of them because he can't even see color. I mean, but he could at one point, so whatever. But, he just he's an art dealer, and he wanted him for his eyesight, but also because he loved his photography, which he couldn't really see in the first place either.
yeah.
But it didn't have anything to do with race. But yes, then you
Yeah,
start
and
to
you
see.
get that, don't you? You get that to touch more on what you've
Yeah.
literally just said. You get that where, he meets him for the first time and they just talk about his artwork and how much he loved his artwork. And, you see that he's blind and you're just like, damn, this guy can't see him. There's this guy. And that scene is straight after the scene where he gets all of the awkward comments to do with
Yep.
his race. And then he goes out to just take a seat and get away from it all. And you get the dude who's there and he's blind, he can't even see him. And you're thinking to yourself at that time, oh, is this guy going to make a racist comment as well? Right? But he doesn't. They sit down and they just have a conversation about art.
And so I don't know if maybe you're supposed to think, oh, this will be like the one person that's there who might be on his side. But then it turns out when he
bids the
explains it,
highest.
yeah, and then they cut to the dad starting the procedure. He's like cutting the dude's skull open.
Yeah.
Of course they don't go into detail because it's not something that's real, but that's the actual.
That's the
body-
realization of the body snatchers part of the
Yeah.
film. Aspect. The theme, body snatchers.
Is there some kind of ritualistic thing going on? Again, I know they don't go into the mechanism, but the son opens up the thing and it's like rusty tools that he uses that don't look like they're sterilized, that look like they've been used they're in a special box. They have candles going.
Oh.
So, I don't know.
I don't know
That's
if we're really supposed to understand how they do it.
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so.
I
And
think
that's
it's
fine.
literally just said that they take the brain and put it into the body.
You can't do that anyway, right? It would have to be something like this. Some kind of weird mystical bullshit that cannot be explained.
Yeah.
So it has that at least. It's not a metaphor. It's in the movie.
I think we
where
both
were
agreed that this was a good movie. We both agreed that it fits into the theme.
Yeah.
Would you, or have you even, ever recommended this film to someone?
Oh yeah, I have. I've recommended it. But I guess it's not. I don't know. I recommend it as a good horror film. I try not to bring up the themes too much because I think it stands on its own without that stuff.
So you've
You can
recommended it as a horror film, like
Yeah, just as
to
a horror
someone,
film. This is an essential. Yes.
the thing is, I don't know anybody else that's into horror stuff like the way that you are, and I'm not massive on horror films, am I? As we already know, it's not that I hate them or anything. I just don't go out of my way to find them and watch them. now that I know of this film, and I know that this is a horror film, and I know that this is also considered a what was it? A social thriller.
Yeah.
Um, I know that I could recommend that to people if they wanted something to watch. And I've done it with we're on our third month, our ninth film, right? So with
Yeah.
the 8 films that we've watched already, I have literally taken every single one of them and gone and recommended them to at least one person. Not as a task that I set myself or anything, but
Right.
just because I'll end up having a conversation with someone and I'll go, "Oh yeah, I'm doing this podcast and I watch films and I watched so and so recently and I think you should watch it." You know? Like
Yeah.
with Love Exposure, I went and spent a night at my sister-in-law's house and we were sitting there and we had nothing on the TV. We was doing nothing. We was just sitting there chilling. I just went and found Love Exposure on YouTube and put it on. I've seen it. I really loved it, and I
Yeah.
want other people to see it. So, yeah, like I think this is another film that I would probably end up recommending to someone.
Do
Actually,
you?
and to talk
Yes.
to go back and to argue with myself a little bit back there, Fear and Loathing. I've I've actually turned around to Margaret and been like, I wouldn't watch this again. This was
I was gonna ask if that one. I was like, are you sure about that one?
yeah, to go back and to
Yeah.
put a nook into what I literally just said.
Yeah.
Fear and Loathing is just like, I know it was my dad's favorite film, but like for me, it's just like you can go through life and not watch this film, and you won't be missing out
It's
on anything.
yeah. I guess yeah. I think so. That one. I don't know. It's an experience, but it's not an essential one. I don't know.
And I put in the
It's
description for for the video upload, I put like in this film, like it's a bad. I've forgotten exactly what I put. But I've basically put it's a bad film, but it's got Captain Jack Sparrow. What's his name?
Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp. I think I put in the description it's a bad film, but it's got Johnny Depp in it, so you should watch it. That's what I put
Yeah,
in the description.
that's fine enough, right? That's yes. That's all you need for
It's like if you're a Johnny Depp fan, go watch it. But if you
yeah.
just if you want if you want something good to watch, don't go watch it.
Yeah.
But no, back to this film. I would recommend this.
And you
Yeah.
don't think you would have to give any caveats like to people like it's about race.
I don't
Don't
think
be
so.
offended."
No,
Okay.
because I don't have
That's
any.
good,
I
right?
don't have any friends. I actively go out of my way to delete people from my list that are racist, right?
Yeah.
Or that like I don't think I could have a
Have
good conversation with because they'll end up
strange
saying some dumb shit.
suspect opinions
Yeah,
about
yeah. So I
yeah.
don't think I would need to worry that if I went to any of my close friends and said, "Watch this film," I don't think I would need to worry about saying, "Oh, it touches a lot on race, so you might feel a little bit." I don't think I
Yeah.
would need to. You
Well,
know?
that's good. No, that's good. That's positive. Because see, and the only reason why I would ever worry about that is just because of what I've talked about, where I've seen people talk about it poorly on forums, and I'm like, I don't get it. Everything should be valid to discuss in a movie, I think.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why I think we're doing this year. And so I think that that's exciting.
I
Because of the new
absolutely love
format.
what we're
Oh,
doing,
yes.
and I hope that I know that I mentioned this in our previous podcast, but I actually cut it out of the whole recording. So I think I don't know if you've watched the podcast that I uploaded yet, or if
Not
you even
yet.
plan on it, or if you don't watch those. But if anybody is watching and they watched the last episode, I cut out a bunch of stuff where I basically spoke about how I'm disappointed with the amount of views that we have, because I think that what we're doing is really cool. Just sitting down and talking about movies.
I think so too. Yeah.
We talk a lot about spoilers. We talk a shit ton about spoilers that are in the films
Yeah,
for the
we
people
do.
listening, so that might deter someone from listening. But like maybe if someone's already watched the film and they want to listen to someone else's review on it, and they end up stumbling across us,
Yeah, we got off to a really bad start, but we still did it.
after we watched the movie on Monday, I bought some Pokemon cards, because for anybody that's listening that gives a fuck about Pokemon or is still here at this point, I bought some Pokemon cards after what we watched last week because I'm a big
Nerd. No, what?
Zigzagoon fan,
Yeah.
Obstagoon fan. So I went and bought some Pokemon cards, and the ones that I bought actually arrived today, which is crazy because we only spoke on Monday, and like we hung up, we
I
had a
was
conversation.
surprised.
Sorry? Oh, you were surprised? Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I asked you. I was like, wait, you already got it? The time is a blur right now, I guess.
Yeah, so basically like 2 days later, because this guy posted on the day that I bought the stuff. So I got my goons, they arrived. So we have the Zigzagoon, which arrived today.
So cute.
And also the shiny Obstagoon that arrived today. These guys arrived with a bunch of other stuff today, nothing relating to what I just said. Actual stuff to use in Pokemon decks. I don't know if we've spoken about this in our previous videos. We probably have, or if we've always just spoken about this off of the podcast. But my thing with building Yu-Gi-Oh decks, not Yu-Gi-Oh, what the hell am I saying? My thing with building Pokemon decks, or just any game in general, right? Because I just said Yu-Gi-Oh by accident. I haven't played Yu-Gi-Oh in forever. My thing with building decks is that I never want to build the best deck, but I always want to build the deck that can beat the best deck, but also has a good chance against other decks. I have decided that for this meta, for this format, what I want to build is actually two things now. It's not just one deck. I'm building two decks. One is a very cheap deck, so I can get away with building two decks this time because I wanted to spend less on Pokemon, and I wanted to not be in a place where I'm owning 3 or 4 different decks. But now I'm here saying I'm going to own 2 decks. One of them costs literal pennies to make, which is cool, which has like a Pokemon called Zorak in it and a Pokemon called Golisopod in it. It's very cheap and it's basic. It's really simple. I'm looking forward to that. A bunch of that stuff arrived today. I'm trading a friend for a bunch of stuff for it. I'm waiting on 4 cards for that to come. Literal commons. Hope that they arrive before Friday, because Friday is when I go to my locals to play with my friends. Who they won't mind if I use. It's not even a stand-in. It's literally like
Oh, really?
some people will just go on the internet, find a picture of the card that you want to use and print it,
Yeah.
and then cut that piece of paper and put it into the sleeve and say a proxy. Proxy's the word I wanted.
Oh,
They'll
okay,
proxy
okay,
it.
okay.
Like my friends won't mind if I show up at my locals, and it's not a tournament day. They won't mind if I show up and I'm just like, oh, this is meant to be so and so, you know. But I don't like doing that. I've never liked proxying. I like to use a deck.
Yeah.
So that'll be built soon. And then also the other deck that I'm using is Eternatus VMAX, which is
Oh, I
literally
saw that. I
just.
was
Oh, you saw
sorry.
the picture of the Eternatus
Yeah,
VMAX,
I
right?
was
Because I
wondering
showed
about
you.
that. I was like, what? What is this now?
He looks really cool as well, doesn't he? In my opinion, I don't
Yeah.
know, right? He looks really
No,
cool. So that deck is an example of something that I wouldn't usually use, but I am going to use it because of what's been happening recently. Usually I wouldn't build that type of deck because I just explained to you that I don't like using the best deck, but I like using the deck that beats the best deck but also has a good chance against other decks. This deck breaks that rule slightly because this deck is literally built to beat the best deck, right?
Uh-huh.
But doesn't have a great matchup against anything else,
Oh
right?
no. Yeah.
But as of recently, it has been topping somehow. So I was
Hot.
just like, well, that's cool. I'll just use
Yeah.
it because it looks cool. It's got Eternatus in it. Eternatus is one of the new Pokemon. I absolutely love everything that came out in the Sword and Shield game, the Pokemon Sword and Shield. A lot of people didn't, but like Sword and Shield was a huge love for me. I fell in love because of Sword and Shield. So I really liked the Galarian Obstagoon, which is Sword and Shield. I really liked all of the new legendaries from Sword and Shield. So yeah, that's all that. It's cool that I get to use a Goon deck, and it's cool that I'm now going to make an Eternatus deck because I like the Pokemon as well as just liking the fact that they're good in the card game.
Yeah, see, I would respect you much less if you just played Pokemon that you didn't like. I wouldn't want to hear about any of this. I don't know, because I just feel like that's such a cheap way to. Why would you spend money on a game if you didn't like? I don't know.
There was literally a time where I was using a Zigzagoon deck, wasn't there? And I won my locals with it, and I was telling you how happy I was that I won my locals using Zigzagoon. Because I absolutely love this guy. Like, I love my little Goon page that I've got now. However, my Goon page is going to be taken apart slightly, because the Eternatus deck that I'm going to be running runs 4 of Zigzagoon. But that's great. That's fine, because now I get to use 4 Zigzagoons.
Hell
you know?
yeah. Nice.
And like, yeah, it's cool. It's great being able to use Pokemon that you like in this card game, as well as just using Pokemon that are good. You know, you can make a deck that is a good deck, and maybe splash your favorite Pokemon in there, as long as it works with it, not just for any fucking reason.
I know. there's a deck that I was making in Magic that I don't even remember what my commander was. It was just gonna be like a red black, I think, but it was gonna have minotaurs, and I really liked. There was these cards that I had gotten for really cheap. They're like in bulk or something. I just loved the art on them,
Yeah.
but the card sucked. And I was so sad. I was like, I really want to put this in here, but there's no utility.
It doesn't
It's
work with the theme of the deck whatsoever. You just really want
yeah,
to put it in there because you just like the card.
yeah, and so I don't know what to do with those cards. I need to like I need to endeavor to do what you're doing and just find a way to do it so that I can use the cards I like, because that would be the most satisfying thing of all.
Because what
My
I'm doing at
dream.
this point is I'm finding the best deck that has just one of that card in it. Just to
Yeah,
that's what I've
I,
done at this point, I guess.
I mean, that's something.
It is something. So
Okay.
that's it. That's us. That's our lives. Guys, leave comments in the comment sections. If we get anybody viewing these videos, and you like literally, especially if you're watching these the whole way through, there's something wrong with you, bro. Leave us a comment in the comment section. Okay, tell us what your thoughts on the movie was if you've already seen it. Tell us if you're going to
Please.
go watch it because we recommended it to you. And now you know every single spoiler, but you still want to watch it, right?
Yeah.
Tell us why you think I'm a dickhead. Please tell us, okay? Put
And
stuff in the comment section. Hit the
why you
subscribe
think
button.
I'm a cunt? No, that's not comparable at all. I don't know why I went so dark, but yes, please.
Damn. Yeah.
Smash
Leave
that
us some
subscribe,
comments. Hit the
please.
subscribe button. And as well as hitting the subscribe button, hit the bell so that you get notified whenever we upload a new video. Okay? I'm sorry that I have to be that cringe YouTube person that tells you to hit the bell and tells you to hit subscribe. But like I would love for this channel to grow because we're putting effort into this and you're here listening to it. Tell people that you've listened to us, okay?
Bye.
See you next week. Bye-bye.